All right, let's dive right in. Today we're talking about a really powerful habit called putting first things first. Now, this comes from Stephen Covey, and it's all about shifting our mindset. See, it's not just about managing our time better, it's about managing ourselves better. The whole point is to get back in the driver's seat and focus on what truly actually matters.
So, let me ask you something. Have you ever had one of those days where you are just nonstop busy? I mean, from the moment you start, it's a whirlwind of emails, meetings, putting out fires. You get to the end of the day, you're totally wiped out, but then you look back and think, wait, what did I actually get done today? It feels like you've been running on a hamster wheel, right? Just spinning and spinning, but not really going anywhere.
Well, there's a name for that feeling. It's called the urgency trap. Our brains are basically wired to react to whatever's yelling the loudest, the flashy notification, the urgent email. But here's the catch. The loudest thing in the room is almost never the most important thing. And getting caught in that cycle of just reacting, that's what stops us from ever being truly effective.
Okay, so to really get out of this trap, we have to understand two words, urgent and important. And believe me, they are not the same thing. Urgent is the stuff that screams for your attention right now. Think a ringing phone, a deadline that just popped up. Important, on the other hand, that's the stuff that actually moves the needle on your long-term goals, your big picture vision. The absolute key here, the whole foundation of this idea, is realizing that confusing these two is where everything goes wrong.
So how do we start to untangle all this? Well, Covey gave us this amazing, super simple tool to do just that. It's called the time management matrix. And what it does is it gives you a crystal clear picture of where your time is actually going, not just where you think it's going.
So here it is. It's a simple 2x2 grid, right? On one side, you've got urgent and not urgent, and on the other, important and non-important. This creates 4 boxes, or quadrants. Up in quadrant I, you've got your crises, stuff that's both urgent and important. Down in quadrant 3, that's for interruptions. They feel urgent, but they're not really important. And quadrant 4, that's just for, time wasters. But the one we really need to talk about, the one that changes everything, is quadrant 2.
Yep, quadrant 2. This is where the magic happens. This quadrant is for all the stuff that is super, super important, but it's not urgent. And because it's not screaming for your attention, it's so easy to put off. Now look, quadrant I crises are always going to pop up. That's just life. But the most successful, most effective people, they don't just live in quadrant I, they intentionally build their entire lives around quadrant 2. So what exactly is this quadrant 2 stuff? Well, think about it. It's things like deep strategic planning for your career. It's finally taking that course to learn a new skill. It's nurturing your most important relationships, or taking care of your health before you have a problem. None of these things are going to have a flashing red light on them, but they are the absolute foundation of a successful and, honestly, a happy life. I love this way of thinking about it. See, when you're stuck in crisis mode, you're just working in your life, right? You're just trying to keep your head above water. But when you make time for quadrant 2, you start working on your life. You're the architect. You're building the future you want, preventing problems before they even start. Okay, now take a look at this. For a lot of us, this is reality. This is where our time goes. We're just pinballing between quadrant 1 crises and quadrant 3 interruptions. It's stressful, it's reactive, and as you can see, it leaves almost no time for anything else. Sound familiar? But here's the really cool part. Look what happens when you flip the script. This is what it looks like for highly effective people. They make quadrant 2 their home base. And by investing all this time in planning and prevention, you know what happens? Quadrant 1 actually gets smaller. Yeah, fewer things become emergencies because you dealt with them way back when they were just small quadrant 2 tasks. Okay, this all sounds great, but it leads to the big question, right? Where on earth do you find the time for all this quadrant 2 stuff? Well, there's only one place to get it. You have to steal it from quadrants 3 and 4. And that leads us to probably the hardest skill of all, learning to say no. This quote just hits the nail on the head. It takes real discipline to say no to all those lower priority demands. But think about it this way. Every single time you say yes to something unimportant, you are by default saying no to something that actually matters. So let's be really clear. This is not just another tip for organizing your to-do list. This is a massive mental shift. We're talking about purpose-driven management. It's about graduating from being a mere scheduler of tasks to becoming the CEO of your own life.
It's making sure that what you do every single day actually lines up with who you want to be and where you want to go.
So, how do we make this real? It's actually a pretty simple 3-step recipe. First, you've got to figure out what your first things are. What are your real Quadrant 2 priorities? Second, you have to put them on your calendar. I mean, schedule them like they're the most important meeting of the week, because they are. And third, and this is the tough part, you have to guard that time with your life. Say no to the things that try to steal it.
And really, that's what this all comes down to, doesn't it? It comes right back to you. I mean, the theory is great, but it's completely useless until you actually apply it. This is all about you taking a hard, honest look in the mirror and asking, what really matters to me? All right, so let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways? First, stop chasing what's urgent and start focusing on what's important. Second, you have to intentionally, deliberately spend more time in Quadrant 2. That's the secret sauce for long-term success and peace of mind. But the big one is this: none of it works without the discipline to actually do it, day in and day out. So I want to leave you with one final question to chew on. What is the one thing, that one important, not urgent thing, that you know if you did it consistently would completely change the game for you? Seriously, what is it? And don't just think about it. I want you to open up your calendar right now and schedule it. Put it in the book for this week. Make it happen.